it's okay to let go. You're not alone. Stand your ground, take it slow. The way you've been shown, trust yourself, you to get through. Now you're on the other side, living life again. It was a wild ride out of the rain into the sun. Look, you've won.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm learning to maximize my screen. There we go. Technology. Happy Thursday and April 3rd, 2025. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. The world is spinning. So, yes, Brazy, I mean it. So, welcome everybody. This is my channel, Wounds to Wisdom. I am your host, Teresa. Thank you for being here. My lovely moderator is Miss Brazy. And as time goes on, she's going to be keeping me on track. Look who's in the house, Misha. Misha, I did send you a little message before, but I think my timing was off. So we'll connect hopefully maybe after this live or something. But Brazy is an amazing woman. Whoop, whoop. Absolutely. So today I'm really excited to talk about, I should fix this. Hold on. I can fix this. I can do this because it tells me I can. Video. All right. Mirror. Change the access. Can you read it now? Can you read it now? The 4 agreements. Heaney is here. Whoop, whoop. So you guys, before we jump in, because I want some people to, pop in, I can share with you that the 3rd Thursday of the month, this month, we are going to be talking about, let them. So I don't expect everyone to have read the whole book because I will not have read the whole book by then, but it's to pull out pieces that I think we all share, right? As we're growing and we're trying to navigate our personal growth. My channel is really about not just a spiritual awakening, but about us being better, about me being better as a person, as a thinker, as a philosopher, right? I mean, it's all of these things when we get kicked to the curb so much. Next month, I turn 62. It's like I'm no spring chicken, but I'm also not put out to pasture yet. And one of the things that I had promised myself when I turned 50 was that I didn't want to be on my deathbed going, I should have, I could have, I didn't. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't. And so having these conversations, I got to get comfortable. Changing the mirrored perspective changes how I look at people and watching the tilt of my head. But changing our perspective, changing how, do we really want to be good people? And without living in our wounds. So we're good people. Let me just be clear. We're good people. I think what kicks us down sometimes is that we're reacting, responding as that child, as that wounded girl, boy, wounded as the teenager, wounded as the 20-something, wounded as the 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and so on. Part of me creating this channel is I don't want to live in wounds. I have so much wisdom from my experiences. And yes, for me, life sort of began again when I had my massive heart attack and died. And I don't want to keep harping that, but that physical, emotional, mental brain death um, was like an electric shock to my head, right? It was that opportunity to see things differently and to know I wanted to live and be better, different, lighter, more loving, less of this little girl who felt like she was always hurt. Her feelings were always being hurt. And as I've grown and as I've learned and as I've read and as I've studied, I have two fantastic teachers um, that I'm going to talk about with their permission in a couple of weeks and their programs. Um, and these four agreements. And I have tons of books that I want to talk about. It changes how we think, right? How is it that we can snap out of it? One of the things that I've noticed on other YouTube channels, it's great for us to kvetch, as my Jewish friends would say. We complain, we sort of get into the muck of, this person's a jerk and I don't like them and, they hurt my feelings. And yeah, they didn't really hurt your feelings. It's not about you. It's not about you. So, how do we rise above? How do we tap into ourselves and have a better snapshot of us? We're looking at the mirror. Um, it's funny when Michael Jackson's whole world turned upside down. I really was anti Michael Jackson music, but he has a couple of very poignant songs that resonate with me, and "Man in the Mirror" is one of them because it's really about our own reflection, and that's how we see the world. So I'm going to jump in because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So we are talking, as I said, about the four agreements. And it is a book of wisdom. Love the word wisdom. And by Don Miguel Ruiz. And so I wanted to share a little bit about who he is. And please make this interactive. Even if you don't know anything about this or if you know everything about the four agreements in Don Miguel, it's so helpful to have us interact so that I'm just not sort of lecturing. But I am going to read a little bit about who he is, where he came from. So he was born in August of 1952 to a very renowned Mexican author and spiritual teacher. Well, let me go back. He is a renowned Mexican author and spiritual teacher. He's best known for his works on Toltec wisdom, including this lovely book. His teachings draw from ancient Toltec traditions, focusing on personal freedom, self-awareness, and spiritual enlightenment. And I looked up because I've seen this before, but I couldn't remember what Toltec meant. And it's Toltec practices are rooted in the ancient wisdom of that civilization that flourished in Mesoamerica around 900 to 1150 CE. While the Toltecs were historically known for their artistic, architectural, and warrior traditions, modern interpretations of Toltec practices, like those shared by Don Miguel, focus on spiritual growth and personal transformation. So that's a little bit about him, and how his practices sort of evolved out of his tradition. His mother was a healer. And I don't think Jimena's in the chat, so I won't offend her with my terrible Mexican accent. But the healer is a curandera, and the grandfather was a shaman, a nagual. So please do not shoot me if I mispronounced it. But he wanted to become a doctor initially. And then he had a near fatal car accident in his late 20s, which led him to have a near death experience. Sounds familiar to me. Um, and so he reevaluated his purpose. Now, I'm not going to connect or compare myself to Don Miguel Ruiz because I had already been on a spiritual path after my mom died and my introduction into Reiki and sort of the evolution that I was experiencing then. Um, so, and then my near death experience really jump started this lightness. And as I go through these practices that I am studying, and in this month, I didn't feel as eloquent to talk about what's happening cosmically, energetically, pre new moon, and then with this new moon energy through the end of this week, and some of the energies that are happening. But I'm feeling a lot of changes, and it's hard to articulate those. But, when you tap into your own mojo in your body, it changes your language. And I'm working really hard on trying to be, I don't know if I want to say more authentic. I think I've always been authentically myself. I think I used to compare myself to the following. I always wanted to be Audrey Hepburn, but I'm Katharine Hepburn. Audrey was this dainty, elegant, put together, articulate woman. Katharine was also articulate, but she was a sassy pants, and she sort of called it as it is, and she was a little rougher around the edges and definitely unconventional. And I loved that about her. I do wish I had a little bit more elegance as a person, but I don't mind having a raucous side to me. So, um, so where do we begin? So, just at a high level, the Four Agreements is kind of a self-help book. It's outlining 4 principles, which we're going to talk about. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. Now, these are all common sense things, right? I mean, if you speak with integrity and truth and avoid gossip, you're speaking impeccably with your word. Um, by understanding that other people's actions and words are a reflection of them and not you, you're not taking it personally. If you communicate clearly and ask questions to avoid misunderstandings, then you're not making assumptions. And if you're striving every day in most every situation by trying to do the best that you can, you're always doing your best. So these agreements are really based about helping us as individuals lead kind of a peaceful life, a life that's more filled with integrity. So, it's like, all right, great. These sound great, but how do you really put them into practice? And I talk a lot about mindfulness and meditation, and that's kind of what this is, incorporating the 4 agreements into your personal growth. Well, and we talk about this in many other channels or in many other videos, but set a positive intention. Hey, Josh, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just getting started on the 4 agreements. So every day, set a positive intention or affirmation. And that can be as simple as today's going to be a great day. And look, personally, didn't sleep very well last night. I had to get up early because my blessed car had the service engine light again, which I did not want to have it die on me for the 3rd time in the middle of an intersection. So I had to rush it to the car garage and pray to the garage god that it wasn't going to be a big deal. And Yeah. It could be the computer in the car, and you guys don't know how much that costs, but there's no. Anyway. So I've been frazzled most of the day. And so my intention when I got up was, this is leading me back. It's going to be a great day. Miss Millie, welcome, welcome, welcome. So it can be as simple as starting your day with a positive intention or affirmation. The other thing is commit to speaking truthfully and kindly. And it's funny because I watched an episode last night, a podcast with Mel Robbins and Martha Beck. Definitely going to, talk more about those two women. They're life coaches, but they're very introspective. And one of the things that Martha Beck had said is for 1 year, she said she was only going to tell the truth. Now that sounds common sense. I'm going to tell the truth. Well, think about that. Sometimes telling the truth could potentially hurt a person's feelings. And it could be as benign as, no, I don't really like your hair. If someone asks you, do you like my hair? No, I don't really like your hair. To, well, do you believe in God? No, don't really believe in God. Your truth can be delivered in such a way that it's not offensive to the other person, but you have to speak your truth. And if you're telling a fib, yes, I love your hair. It looks fantastic. I'm going to ignore all those grays. Then you at least know that you're telling that so that you're not hurting someone's feelings. So speaking the truth, it's your authentic self. It's not as easy as it sounds because once you start a pattern of behavior, right, it's very difficult to unravel it. Refraining from gossip. Sorry, I thought I had turned off my phone. So let me just make that one go quiet. They rushed my dad to the hospital, so they're dinging me with updates, but he's going to be okay. So I'm just going into the comments. Sorry. So I want to see what, and I don't know why I think I can read this without my glasses. Misha says, well, brave, though. I could never do contacts. Oh, we're talking about glasses. I think somewhere I missed something. And then Miss Millie comes in. Okay, I'm missing a conversation somewhere. So sorry about that, guys. But so yeah, I want to. Oh yes, my dad. Thank you. He's got his cancer and he's struggling, and it's bladder cancer. It's spreading. They did a chemo treatment initially that was, they should have stuck to what was tried and true, and they didn't. And he's in a lot of pain, and the man's on major drugs. So he's hallucinating, but he's in pain. And they rushed him back to the hospital. Now he has an infection. He shouldn't have an infection because he has 2 stents in each kidney with bags to avoid pain from, other things. So he's just having a tough time. And he's a perfect example of someone that's not tapped into his spiritual side and into his, the softer side of faith. And I'm calling this faith. I'm calling everything that I do faith because it's a belief in the words. It's a belief in myself and the power of healing. So thank you. We send healing to my dad, Ralph. but it's his journey. And I had to learn that. And again, that's partly from this book. This is partly from some of the classes that I'm taking. This is partly from the book we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks, Let Them, by Mel Robbins. Because, you know, as a control freak, I was the firstborn. I was the only girl. And I like to take control. And the way that I navigate some of my traumas is to take control. So it's one of the reasons I never really experimented with drugs or drinking, because I was not in control. And that means that I would be more susceptible and vulnerable to more violence. And I couldn't handle that. I didn't have the faculties or the whatever the right adjective is to defend myself. And so being sober, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but always being alert, I feel like has kept me safe. Now, I have put myself in dangerous positions, but in general, I'm more fortunate because I had an awareness. And we will talk about that in a different time, how we take care of ourselves. But back to being impeccable with your word. So refraining from gossip or negative self-talk is another way of being impeccable with your words. Yeah, thanks, Millie. I know, right? So how do we incorporate the next one? Don't take anything personally. Well, when you're encountering criticism, remind yourself that people's opinions reflect their own experiences and beliefs. And I used in the past the example of, well, Teresa, you really should lose some weight. No one's really going to find you attractive with that extra 10 pounds. Okay, that's your opinion. The old me took that personally. Don't be fat. Don't get fat. You're not lovable if you're fat. Well, I'll be the first one to admit that when I hit the 60s and I'm a little bit less active than I was, I have a little, extra fluffernutter. But if you don't love me with my fluffernutter, please don't knock on the door. You know what I mean? That's not me. That's you. And I could be pencil thin. I am not going to be Cindy Crawford. So I don't know who and I'm referring to people that are saying this about me. That's your perception of beauty or your perception of how I should look. So we have to practice that self-reflection, right? About other people's actions and words don't have to be our actions and words, but we also have to be careful when we project it on others. Have you ever been someplace and someone said, oh, she'd be so pretty if she would just lose some weight? I want to strangle people when they say that. But I'll be the first one to admit when I was in my 20s and I was a skinny little guinea with the meatball nose, that I would have said, oh, she is so pretty, but if she lost a couple of pounds, she'd be beautiful. Oh my gosh. We're projecting what? I'm projecting all those messages I received as a little girl, being a skinny little mini, onto other people. It took time, and I realized, and I had a really great friend back in the day, and she embraced her fluffiness. And she was like, you either love me or you don't, but this is what you get. And from that moment on, I was like, you go, girl. And let me tell you something. She had more dates than me. So it has nothing to do with size. It has to do with confidence and personality, her inner wisdom, her inner sense of self. She embraced herself. And she was healthy. So, everybody in her family was like 6'2" and up, including her. She wasn't going to be this svelte nothing. And I was ashamed at that first moment in time when I realized that I had been judging other people. Not everybody can look like Brad Pitt. Not everyone can look like Cindy Crawford or whoever you hold up in esteem as being the version of good looking. So be cautious with your words when you go to look at somebody else, right? Because I'll tell you right now, their inner beauty outshines their outer beauty. And those that are beautiful on the outside aren't always beautiful on the inside. So the point being, don't take anything personally. When people are coming at you with how they perceive that you should be, I developed this in therapy with my therapist years ago. Put the hand up. It's like, stop. That's you. So it's a reminder to me when I do this that that's not about me. It's about you, and I don't need to hear it. We always talk about the fact that there are 99 out of 100 people that think you are fan freaking tastic, and you only hear the one negative. And that's what you hold on to. So you've got to pull back. So that's the don't take anything personally. The next one is don't make assumptions. And it was sort of wrapped up into, the projection, because, you want to ask questions. You want to seek clarity on issues instead of jump into conclusions. I could say, I'm going to use you, Misha, just as an example. Misha, I really don't understand what you meant by that comment. Can you just take a minute to explain it to me? Because if I don't, I'm going to stew that something benign that Misha said to me hurt my feelings. And I'm going to stew and I'm going to stew and I'm going to make up this whole story in my head. And all Misha did was make a comment, but she was in a rush and it sort of came out one way and I had no idea. And all she was like, no, I don't know where you're coming up with that idea, girl. I was just saying, I'll see you later. And I'm like, okay. Right? So we make assumptions instead of asking the question. If it's bothering you, ask, state something, say something. And if you need a minute, take a minute. But don't let too much time go by, because if you come back 6 months and go, Teresa, I'd really like to talk to you about that comment that you made. I'd be like, oh, what comment? Blah, 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 blah. When did I say that? Well, 6 months ago. I'd be like, I have no effing idea what I meant 6 months ago. I know my intention wasn't to hurt anybody's feelings. So it's really, we have to step back. Oops. And think first, right? So don't make assumptions. Practice listening. So I think I've shared this before, but I don't know if all of you guys were there. So mom got cancer in 2013. Either the summer of 2013 or the summer of 2014, I went to this yoga retreat that had a seminar on open heart. It was called the Open Heart. And I considered myself the caged bird in barbed wire. And I didn't even have a door in my caged bird, as in my cage for my heart. And when we went around the room, each of us had to sit with a stranger and we had to tell our story. And I'm going to try to do this as easily as I can, but I'm going to look in the camera and I had to tell you everything. And all you could do was look at me. You could not have a reaction. So, I had a really bad experience. You had to keep you couldn't go, oh, I'm so sorry. Nothing. You had to be a blank wall. It was testing listening skills so that I got to tell my story without you interfering or saying, oh my God, I know exactly how you feel. This happened to me. Now, that person, or you, if you're the one interrupting, derailed that person from telling you their story that needs to be heard. It's kind of like shut the front door and listen. And that's not easy to do. And sometimes it's not our place to give advice, it's just to listen. So, practicing listening skills is not as easy as you think it is. Or let me reverse that. Sorry guys. I don't want to project that onto you because you may be great listeners. It's not that easy for me because I am the person that said in the past, "Oh my god, let me tell you, I know exactly how you feel. I was it wasn't about me." So, don't make assumptions and listen. And when we talk about, and we're going to get into more of this, so just bear with me a little bit. Always do your best. So recognize that your best is going to change depending on your circumstances and your energy level and your emotions. But so for me today, doing my best was getting up out of bed, putting clothes on, getting to the mechanics, and getting back home and doing a couple of things and taking the dogs for a walk and etc. So, Jimena's here. Jimena, I spoke Spanish, and thankfully you weren't here to hear me kill my pronunciation. Um, so anyway, I think that you have to do your best at that moment in time. We're not always going to be rainbows and sunshines, right? Focus on the progress rather than on perfection. Celebrate your small achievement. I got out of bed today. I put clothes on. I got out of the house to the mechanics, and that was my accomplishment. How I'm going to pay for anything, what's going to happen next, that is for another moment in time. This is what I got accomplished. And then the other thing that Don Miguel Ruiz talks about is end your day in reflection on what went well and what could you do better tomorrow. So I found myself today bemoaning my financial situation. Now, many of us are in it. So I'm not telling anybody anything that, it's like there's only so much money that you can squeeze out of a dollar. And it really, it tests us. And I was having a little pity party for a minute. And then I was like, wait a minute. You will come up with a plan and it will be fine. So in retrospect, I didn't want to spend the whole day on how am I going to pay for the repair for this car? How am I going to go to a dealer and say, look, I need to get rid of this car. I need to change it up and I need to lease a car. Well, I owe money on that damn car, so I don't even know how it goes. And one of the things that I struggle with, especially since my heart attack, is I get bamboozled by people, especially salespeople, trying to sell me things. And that's a hard one for me. So I'm hoping and I'm going to look for somebody to help me when it's time to go back to the dealership to say, look, this car isn't for me. You wanted to buy my car back. How much will you give me? And then I can make an informed decision before I decide to lease a car. Are they going to give me the amount that's left on the loan? Not this car. If I've put in this much money, I've only had it for a year and a half, they're not going to give me the balance of the loan. But anyway, the point being is I was digging that hole deeper and deeper before I even evaluated everything. That's the dramatic side. That's the poor, poor, pitiful me side. And that's not in alignment with what I want to be able to do. So I want to just take a moment, go back into the comments, see where I am, see what people are saying. And for those of you just joining, hello, 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 welcome. Thank you for coming in. Wow, your 11-year-old got contact lenses. That's amazing, actually. And I would say that I probably would have been a happier teenager or 20 something with contacts when I played sports because these, glasses were always bumping up and down. Um, all right, let's see. Let's see. I'll get past the contact discussion. Uh, I know, Millie. I had this discussion today about covering the grays, but I don't want to get sidetracked on that. Thank you for sharing channels. So Millie, you were watching that video too. So, I'm foot to share on my channel after this. Oh, all right. So if you're gonna share Millie's channel, please. And I didn't know that you were going. You were going to have a live. So if you're going to have a live, Millie, let us know. Yeah. So, for those of you just joining, I was talking about the fact that I'm a control freak. And so I wasn't one who experimented with drugs or alcohol. I don't like not being in control. So, and there's no judgment. Sorry, there's a dog moving behind me. There's no judgment on people, but when we were talking about being impeccable with your words and taking action and don't make assumptions, that sort of blended in that topic. Just trying to get everybody into the same space here. A lot of subbing going on. Thank you. Thank you. Mish says it's so much easier to see through our own lens when we're willing to attempt seeing through another's. That's when the real journey of truth begins. And I think that's the most important thing that I like to share, right? Because we do talk about others. And I don't know if it makes us feel better about ourselves and our own life experiences. Oh, how did she handle that? What did she do? What did he do? What was he thinking? It's so easy to do that instead of putting the mirror to our own face. And that for me has been a life lesson because it's always easier to look at somebody else and judge what they should and shouldn't do and how they should do it and when they should do it and why they should do it. Hello. Turn that around and start looking at yourself because it's very easy for us as a society to project. And part of that is, well, we're talking about what we want to do for ourselves as well. Well, she should go for a walk. She'll lose 5 pounds if she just gets her ass off the couch and starts power walking. Oh, yeah, I can lose 5 pounds if I get off the couch and I start walking. Surprise. So it is, it's really easy for us. And I think that's why I like the 4 agreements. They're very simple. They're very intuitive. They're things that we all know. They're things that we do. So, Mish says, I have always been really good at helping my friends by giving them advice or seeing their beauty when they don't, but I'm horrible at seeing my own. Well, I can second that because I've paid you compliments and it goes right over you. You are tremendous at helping other people and making them feel valued and important. So that's one of your greatest attributes. And that's part of the reason why I started this channel is that we need to lift each other up. And if I have to say 1,000 times that you are a beautiful soul, you're a beautiful soul. And maybe at the 999th time, you're going to say, I am a beautiful soul, damn it. And I know I've mentioned this before, that character on SNL, and why can't I remember his name? Oh gosh, he'd be like, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm handsome, and gosh darn it, people like me. I can't remember who it was, but for those old timers that knew the old SNL, you'll know who I'm talking about. Yeah. And so, Mish, yeah, looking at the mirror at yourself and trying to repeat those things that you need to hear, but that you also, you know, this is what people feel about you. And we've said it, and you'll hear it when you're ready to hear it, but the practice comes in for you. And that's why setting the intention of, I'm only going to say good things about myself. And this was a lesson for me not too long ago. And I think I talked about this on Tuesday as well. I had a really good friend and I was putting myself down. And she's like, that's kind of insulting to me because I have really good taste in friends. And so you saying that about yourself is very insulting to me and my judge of character. Now I'm paraphrasing that, but it hit me. And I only recently, in the last 2 years, have been practicing not saying negative things about myself. I didn't feel like I was smart enough to do certain things. I didn't feel like I was capable. And so I only harped on the negative. Well, that's why Misha helped me develop my beautiful little logo. I don't have to be an expert in everything, but I can ask for help. I don't have to be, I don't want to say smart because that's derogatory. So I want to use my words impeccably. I struggle sometimes with either it's technology or YouTube and navigating it and learning it. And it's a thing that I have to do. And I get overwhelmed. And that is because of my heart event and that things process slower. But even before then, I struggled, but I had the wherewithal and the energy to dive into a topic and learn it. I struggle now, even reading. It takes me longer and longer just because things in the brain are a little bit slower. Plus, in case you didn't know, when you get older, you can be sharp. You have to practice being sharp. All right, let me move on. Jimena, we said hello. Camille, hello. Lovely to see you. Jimena, I will say the word again. Let me look it up because we were talking about the author Don Miguel Ruiz and that his mother, he's from Mexico, and his mother is a curandera. 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 I think that's how you would say it. And the father was a shaman, a Nagual. So I don't know if that's correct or not, but I was like, oh, if Jimena's here, she's going to just laugh at my pronunciation. And let's see. Dun, 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 dun. We're all saying hello. All right. Hey, Care Bear. Oh, that's okay. You can just drive and be careful, okay? Hockey Town John, hello. All right. I'm so glad you love the book. All right. Echo's here. Hello, Echo. And I'm catching up. Just give me a sec. Stuart Smalley, thank you. The prize goes to Josh. Stuart Smalley was one of my favorites, especially back then. And I used to imitate him all the time, Josh. I'd be like, gosh darn it, people like me. It's like, yes, we are smart. And if we keep repeating that to ourselves, then we are going to see ourselves as valued because other people see us as valued, right? They like us. That's why they are our friends. That's why they tune into us. I don't always wrap family in that because they kind of have to put up with me. I mean, they don't. They can, not talk to me, which happens often. But, no, that's a drama. They're not. We're chatting. So yes, Stuart Smalley. All right, let me just scroll through. I just want to catch up. John, I hope you're feeling well. I know you had a procedure, love. So just sending you some healing. Echo says, I was so damaged that I didn't accept compliments and never loved myself until now. Amen, sister. So, and this is why I think the four agreements and some of the other things that we're going to talk about help us. Because if we use the mirrored approach and we're kind, I would never, at least in this point of my life, use my words so negatively, even if you're yelling at me. And I think I shared on Tuesday that I had somebody in my neighborhood go off on me. It had nothing to do with me. He was being a bully. He was being verbally abusive. And I was like, I know it's not about me, so I'm not going to take it personally, but I'm not going to take it either. You know, it's like hell to the no. I've learned to stand up to myself. And I'm setting boundaries. So none of this means that we get to be, a carpet and people can walk all over us. I'm a huge proponent that we have to stand in our truth and in who we are. And the second that someone starts to mistreat you, you get to put the stop sign up and say, hell to the no. You can take that and talk to somebody else, but you're not going to talk to me like that. And this person continued to rant and rave for an extended period of time. And that's okay, because again, it had nothing to do with me. What it does have to do with me is my interaction with him. I've pretty much cut it out. Unfortunately, he's physically near me and I love his wife. She's a lovely human being. She would give you the shirt off of her back. She chose this person for whatever her reasons are, and it's not for me to judge, right? So don't assume. But I will not put myself in that situation, and she knows that. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't take that abuse from people I love. I'm not going to take it from someone I don't even like. That's the truth, right? That's the truth element in the four agreements. You got to speak your truth. So I think that all of us, we can stand in our truth. We can stand in our essence and we can be brave. So I want to finish a couple of things about the four agreements. I know I'm in the comments still. I hope I didn't miss anybody. And if I did, I love you, and I love you. And I'm sorry that I missed your name. All right. Of course, I was also reading without my glasses, so that's not going to help. Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to, with the four agreements, how do you look within yourself and reshape your thought patterns? So, reshaping the patterns in our brain, in our thoughts, and looking at ourselves and wanting to be on this transformative journey that I talk about is simplifying things. So start with the simple things. Focus on areas that, like when we talk about being impeccable with our words, start with yourself on a simple level. We're not going to change everything about ourselves, but instead of you saying something negative about yourself, especially those of us in the YouTube world, don't do it. Don't put yourself down. Do not do it. And here's why. Because the rest of us probably don't see it and don't accept it and acknowledge it. But by you repeating it, you're going to put that thought in our head. So I'm just going to make something up. If you were out there and said, oh my God, I'm a mess. I don't look good. I didn't put my face on today. Are you saying that because you want people to pay you the compliment? Well, then you know why you're doing it. Are you doing it because of trying to develop a rapport? Just be clear in your own mind why you're saying that. Because, and I'm not saying anybody here does this, by the way, I'm just using it as an example. Hey, Indigo, I just saw you pop in. Thank you for being here. So just be mindful of those simple things. Um, it's okay to be disheveled and it's okay to be, sort of struggling. That's not what I'm saying. It's the repetition. Why do you say what you say? Um, Practice the agreements um, by with somebody else. So if it's really difficult for you, do some role playing with a friend. I'm always available. Anybody can always come and chat with me about it. I think that um, it's important in order for us to ask for what we want from the universe. We want the universe to bless us. We need to do the work in order to receive the blessing, right? So if we say, I want to have a successful business doing X, Y, and Z. Thank you, universe, for allowing me to have a successful business doing X, Y, and Z. And you do the work and then you receive the blessing. It may not be received in the way you anticipate, like having $1 million drop into your lap, but you're still going to receive the blessing. Words are critical. And your thought process is also in my thoughts, in my words, in what I have done, and in what I have failed to do. Even though that is part of a prayer I used to be associated with in my faith, it's that phrasing shows up everywhere, in every book that I read, in everything. It's our words, our actions. And catch yourself the next time that you see somebody and you're like, oh my God, they couldn't get dressed to go to this restaurant. P.S. They are dressed. Maybe those are the best clothes they had. Maybe they're being taken out and it was a spur of the moment and they couldn't get gussied up, or maybe that is their gussied up. Think about your words before you start to judge another person. And again, one step at a time and doing your best. And that's doing your best. Sending blessings. Those of you that sent blessings, about my dad, that's beautiful. And being kind and considerate. And yes, there could be 1,000 people in that line ahead of you, and the poor girl at the register or guy is doing the best that they can. Take a breath. We can be angry that there aren't more registers open, but that's not your job and you're not in control of that. And why are you going to participate in the negative energy? So these are steps that we can use for ourselves, right? One person makes a difference. And when we make a difference, people around us notice. And the light within you starts to shine. And as I talk about vibration, and this is, the law of attraction month, when we talk about the 12 universal laws of the universe, this month it's the law of attraction. So that's the ask, the belief, and the receive. But we need to, it's our intention and it's our heart. And I got to be honest, not everybody wants to be on this path. Not everyone feels like they're able to be on this path. And, it's okay. But for those of us that want to raise our own vibration to a higher plane, and cosmically and energetically, this is a very powerful time of year and season, between the new moon and the solar eclipse and, some changes in energetically. If you sit in silence and you're quiet for a while, just imagine that vibrating energy that can come from you out into the world, and you can make a difference in even one person. And then that person goes to the next person. So even though the bully was mean to me, I didn't raise my voice to match his. I just said, I'm not responding to being bullied or verbal abuse. Have a good day. And I walked away. He may not think twice about behaving like that with somebody else. But the people around that witnessed it may think twice. And again, I was respectful and I was kind. I came inside and I was a raging lunatic, like, who the hell does he think he is to say this to me? But then I took a step back and I'm like, it's not about me. It's not about me. And that's the ego. And we're going to talk about the ego another time. So as I wrap this up a little bit, this emotional recovery from our wounds is to be mindful of our words, avoid taking things personally, refrain from making assumptions about people, and trying to always do your best. And these common patterns will eventually resonate and become second nature. And by applying these agreements in sort of a mindful way, you're just encouraging yourself this self-awareness on how you speak, how you react and respond, right? How you perceive emotions. And over time, this awareness can help curb or maybe even destroy that destructive pattern of thought that we have. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not. We don't want those. Do not use those anymore. The second that you say something negative about yourself, please stop that moment. Just you can say to yourself, oh, I'm not smart enough to do that. Okay? Catch yourself. And even if you have to say, what would Teresa say? I would say you are smart enough. And you're smart enough that if you don't know how to do something, you're going to ask someone, like I did with Misha. I needed help. She helped me. I still need help, but that's beside the point. It's what makes us smart, what makes us valuable, what makes us worthy is our perception. Hello. Do you have something to say to the people? Can you give me a minute? I'm almost done. I think someone's telling me something. Let me introduce Luca. This is my little Luca. Biscotti is on the ottoman by the window waiting for me to take him out for a walk. So, these are simple agreements, but they're very doable. And there's a fifth agreement, and I wanted to talk briefly about that. I know our clock is ticking. And it'll come to me. Just give me a second. The fifth agreement is, I wrote it down. Come on, Teresa. You smart cookie. Where did you put it? Right here. Oh, no, that's the other book I was going to recommend, but we'll come back to that. Dun, 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 dun. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. That's the fifth agreement that's new. And it's to serve as a powerful tool for enhancing discernment in our daily lives. At its core, it challenges us to balance a healthy dose of skepticism with genuine active listening. And I really love that. So it encourages critical thinking, deep understanding through listening. And I think that's a really key thing for all of us. I'm not telling any of us to be suckers and just take stuff. None of these agreements is about that. It's about discernment. And so being skeptical and learning to listen is the fifth agreement. And I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate you all being here. I think did I see Victor pop in? And if I missed anybody, I apologize, guys. And let me just see real quick if there was any other comments. Dun, 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 dun. So one of the things that Mish said, which I think is also important, whether good or bad, our actions can be felt around the world. So choose wisely. And I really believe that, right? The energy we put out, the words that we say, the things that we do, the way that we respond, it's felt globally. One of the things that Victor does in his nightly meditations is, you put out your energy as a group, and it fills the whole universe. If we sat in that circle and put out negative energy, it's going out in negative energy. We're putting out love and light and healing and blessings and goodness, and that will help raise the world's vibration. Greg Braden just did something a month ago, and he showed that Yale University and another university have this meter of energy, and it's monitoring some kind of waves that when something happens in the world, they're able to measure it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. That was part of my sleepless last night, and I ended up falling asleep. So maybe that's the key. But I'm fascinated because our energy that we put out in the world, it can come back. And so I'd rather put the love and the light out. So thank you, Mish. Yes, thank you for saying that. And then Indigo puts out, what I learned, it's never about the latte. Someone is going through a lot you don't know about. Yep, we talked about that earlier in the stream. You're going through something they don't know. Try to remember that creating that positive vibe, absolutely, that positive moment in time. And just to be respectful of people. I think that's really what it comes down to, right? Is we've got to be respectful. Okay. So don't forget, if you have an opportunity to get the Let Them book or read it online or what have you, we're going to talk about it the third Thursday of the month. And everything about this channel is about improving ourselves, our communications, raising our own vibrations, being the people we want to be, being the people that other people see us as, and just resonating out there in the world as people striving to do better. I may not be, no, I'm going to use my words impeccably, because perfection isn't my goal. But being aware and being kind and being respectful and as a participant in the world. And my goal is to radiate love and light and healing and compassion, goodness and truth. And those are not concepts and actions that are easy for us to do. So until next time, well, before I end the session, please like and subscribe. It's free. Share. In the comments afterwards, please share if this resonated with you. And we're going to be talking about some more fun things in the very near future. But in closing, may you be blessed with love, with light, with healing, with compassion, with joy, sprinkled with a little bit of love, a little bit of laughter, and a whole heck of giggles. So with that, I'm going to play the song that Victor helped write for me. Not Victor, DJ Miguel. Great day, guys. Love to you all.
One day, on a cold January day, life changed in so many ways at once. As the day began, I lived one life. As the day ended, I had begun a new, reborn with a new life, a new mission. don't know yet, but I am here alive, living my life to the fullest, with new love in my heart and soul. A gift to have, a gift to give, a new life of love. Reborn. I'm like an ice skater dancing out for the first time on the form solid ice. No more fears, no sorrows, because I love the common tomorrows. This life has barely begun, but now I know what I wanna do. I know what I wanna be, reborn. Finally feeling I am fulfilling my destiny, with a heart filled of gratefulness, happiness, joy, overflowing of kindness and love. Oh, so much love. I feel like love is the supportive pillar in my soul, and it only grows each day. I'm reborn.